Hello students, welcome to Legacy IS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about recent issue which is in news, that is when Australia have decided to change its stance as far as the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is concerned. So in this particular video we are going to discuss in detail what was the original stance of Australia, what has been the change in the stances, what are the reasons behind the change in the stand of Australia, and also we are going to discuss what is the stand of United Nations and what is the stand of India as far as the Jerusalem as the capital of Israel or Palestine is concerned. So first of all, we talk about the context in which we are discussing today's issue. So Australia has reversed previous government's recognition of West Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The Foreign Minister of Australia have issued this statement yesterday. The center-left Labour Party government cabinet has agreed to again recognize Tel Aviv as the capital of Israel. Australia basically has reaffirmed that Jerusalem's status must be resolved in peace negotiation between Israel and the Palestinians, and unless and until such peace negotiation processes and its final result is accepted by both the parties, there should not be any recognition of Jerusalem as a capital of Israel. And even if we talk about the embassy of Australia, despite Australia recognizing West Jerusalem as Israel's capital a few years back, the functioning of embassy was still going on from the Tel Aviv itself. So it was just a formal recognition without any change on the ground. So the next question comes that where is Jerusalem? What is the geographical location of these areas? So let us try to understand. As we can see from this particular map, this yellow region is the region of Israel, and within the area which is called as Israel, we have two regions. One you see is on the western side, this large area, and we have a narrow strip of land on the western coast of Mediterranean. So what we can see, this western part that is also having border with the other country, that is Jordan, is something that is called as West Bank, and we have a narrow strip of land that is called as Gaza. So as far as the West Bank and Gaza is concerned, it is basically believed to be the Palestinian land, and basically these are the land where most of the Palestinian peoples are residing. The remaining areas are where the Israeli people are residing, or we can say Jewish population of Israel resides. So mainly, if you look at the Jerusalem, Jerusalem is right at the junction where the West Bank and the Israeli part of Israel is basically meeting. And Jerusalem plays have a very important place not only for the Jewish community of Israel but also for the Islamic population, Muslim population of Palestine, and not only Muslim population, even for the Christians, Jerusalem is considered as a very holy ground. And that is why the Jerusalem is dear to both Palestinians as well as the Israelis, and that is why the fighting and continuous tussle regarding control of the city we have seen since the conception of Israel as a nation. So what is the background we have to understand that has led to change in the stance of Australia? So it was year 2018 when the government led by Scott Morrison, who was the then Prime Minister of Australia, he recognized West Jerusalem as Israel's capital. Now this decision of his is basically rooted into two reasons. The first reason is in the same year, the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, had decided to shift the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, de facto recognizing Jerusalem as capital of Israel. And it is after the decision taken by Donald Trump, mainly to appease the Jewish population and mainly to appease the Jewish diaspora of United States, as experts believe. The Australia also followed the suit, and Scott Morrison decided to formally recognize Jerusalem as capital of Israel. But this step, as the statement given by the current foreign minister, she has said that this step of Scott Morrison government was out of step internationally, and basically it was a cynical attempt to win a by-election by Scott Morrison in the suburbs of Sydney. So basically, it has both political reasons as well as towing the line along the United States that has led Australia to formally recognize West Jerusalem as Israel's capital. However, now the current Australian stand remains has changed, and now Australia has reverted back to its 2018 pre-2018 policy, and that is where the Wong, that is the current foreign minister, said that Australia remained committed to a two-party solution to the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, and we will not support an approach that undermines this prospect. And obviously, recognizing West Jerusalem as Israel's capital undermines this approach to have a two-party solution. So, what is two-party solution in Greek? Basically, as we have seen from the map, in the whole area we have Israel and the West Bank and Gaza Strip that is controlled by Palestinians. So, two-party solution basically offers that both through these territories, both Israelis and Palestinians should have a separate state, should have a separate nation. Currently, we talk about Palestine does not have a we can say full-fledged status of a statehood, full-fledged status of nationhood, and its boundaries are also not clearly demarcated because Israel continuously keep on encroaching upon or building up settlements in the Palestinian side as well, and that has caused a lot of tussles both from the point of view of diplomatic point of view, from negotiation point of view, as well as we also have seen a lot of missile strike that is done by Hamas, which is a violent organization, armed organization of Palestinians, and that is the whole issue in that particular regions. So two-party solution is the most favorable solution that has also been accepted as a credible solution in the United Nations. As far India is concerned, it also accepts that two-party solution should be the ideal goal for both the Israelis and Palestinians. Now, coming to that, since United States is the major player and historically has played a very important role as far as the negotiations and the peace process between Israel and Palestine is concerned, what is the US stand on Jerusalem? So let us try to understand this. So as far as the current regime US government is concerned, President Joe Biden has kept the embassy in Jerusalem. Earlier, as we discussed, the embassy was in Tel Aviv. Donald Trump removed the embassy and relocated the embassy to Jerusalem, and President Biden has maintained the status quo. However, US has basically been uh, associated with a lot of other global development, regional development that is happening all across the globe. For example, they have to tackle the Afghanistan crisis during the withdrawal. They now have to tackle or deal with the Ukraine war scenario that has evolved in Europe. So due to this, US basically has a step back from the important role that once it used to play of mediator between the Israelis and Palestinians. And since US has withdrawn as a mediator, what we have seen that both countries, Israel and Palestine, have not been able to hold any substantive peace talks in more than a decade. So that also does not bode well for the future of Israel-Palestine relationship, as well as the leadership of USA stands questions. So why Jerusalem is important for both Israel and Palestinians? So we have to understand this. This has a much more important. This is much more relevant from the religious point of view, because as far as the Judaism is concerned, Jerusalem is believed to be the core of faith of Jewish world, and also according to Jewish tradition, all of the creation, as far as the scriptures are concerned, basically has began in Jerusalem. So for them, Jerusalem is a very important and holy ground. However, on the other hand, if you talk about the Muslim population in the Islamic world, Jerusalem is believed to be one of the three holiest sites and third most important holiest site after Makkah and Medina in Saudi Arabia. And why it is the holiest site? Because as per the Islamic scholars, or as per the Islamic scriptures, what is we can say is that the Prophet Muhammad, he was transported to Jerusalem during his night journey, that is called as Isra and Miraj. So due to this reason, also it becomes very important for Muslim world also to have a control or to have a certain degree of association with the Jerusalem. Not only Judaism and Muslims, but even for Christians, it is believed that it is in the Jerusalem where Jesus Christ rechristened, and basically after death 3 days later he basically resuscitated. So that is why also for all the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Muslims and Christians, have a very important we can say status as far as Jerusalem is concerned. So what has been the stand of United Nations on the particular city? So the most important stand, or we can say the stand of United Nations, become much more clear if you're able to look at resolution 181 that was passed by UN General Assembly in year 1947, when Israel was being considered, or Israel was being settled as a state. So as far as the UN resolution 181 is concerned, the partition of Palestine into Arab and Jewish state was the main goal or the end goal, and the city of Jerusalem was to act as a corpus separatum. Corpus separatum means it will neither be controlled by Israel nor be controlled by Palestine. It will be a neutral territory that will be controlled and we can say administered by an international organization, a neutral international organization. That was the original stand of United Nations. And to ensure that such kind of we can say to ensure that its resolution 181 is enforced or carried out, and also to understand this in more detail, a UN Special Committee on Palestine was created, and it was on the recommendation of Special Committee on Palestine. The second point that we have discussed was finally approved, and by majority vote, that was finally considered as an end goal of the Israel-Palestine negotiation process. Now, what is the India's stand? So, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has affirmed recently in year 2021 that India's traditional support for two-state solution remains, and it will always be committed to it. Again, two-state solution refers to having two separate states, Israel and Palestine, within a separate territory. Indian embassy in Tel Aviv, as you can see that India is still recognizing Tel Aviv as the capital, and that is why its embassy is located in Tel Aviv. It would remain there as per Prime Minister Modi, and at least until a final status agreement is reached between two parties, will not see any kind of change as far as the location of embassy or as far as the stand of India on the Israel-Palestine issue is concerned. Also, not only in recent time, India has been historically a very vocal supporter of Palestinian state and two-state solution. And India was one of the major non-Arab, non-Muslim country to back the Palestinian demand for having an independent state back in 50s and 60s. However, as per many experts, it is believed that since India's bonhomie or India's relations with Israel is continuously or steadfastly growing, both in the agricultural sector, science and technology sector, as well as in the defense sector, India's stance might be gradually shifting more and more toward supporting Israel, at least we can say informally. So let us try to understand the evolution of relation between Israel and India and Palestine. So it was year 1974 when India recognized Palestinian Liberation Organization, which was that time led by Yasser Arafat as the sole and legitimate representative of the Palestinian people, which was a very great deal at that point in time. Further, in year 1988, India became the first country to recognize the state of Palestine, and thus a representative office of India was set up in Ramallah in year 2003. However, post 2005, once Yasser Arafat died, the relation between India and Palestine become not so stronger. But it's basically start weaken because Yasser Arafat was considered as one of the very good friends of India in that time. So post 2005, however, there is a strong sense of empathy is there for Palestinians across India. But as far as we are concerned about real politics, beyond that, the Israel-Palestine conflict has slipped out of the people's mind because people are dealing with their own problems. India has to deal with its own problems in neighborhood from both China Pakistan crisis and China Pakistan issues, and that is why the support of Palestine has not remained so strong as it was seen in case of 70s, 80s, and 90s. So also strong ties with Israel and strong backing for Palestine has diminished considerably, at least after 2005. So that is how the evolution of the policy of India, or we can say evolution of Israel, India, and Palestinian policy are concerned. So that is all about this particular video. I hope you understood about this whole issue of Jerusalem and its stand of India on that particular issue as well. I hope you like the video. If you like it, please share, subscribe, and also you can comment that what are the topics on which you want us to make a video. That is all for this particular video. Thank you very much.